Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. Today is October the 7th, and I'm going to do your Just for Today in a meditation. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I'm excited to do the meditation with you. So let's go ahead. Hope you're having a beautiful morning. I most certainly am. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. It is entitled Depending on Our Higher Power. As recovering addicts, we find that we are still dependent, but our dependence has shifted from the things around us to a loving God and the inner strength we get in our relationship with Him. Basic text, page 71. It says, for many addicts, rebelliousness is second nature. We didn't want to depend on anyone or anything, and especially not on God. The beauty of using, we thought, was that it gave us the power to be and feel anything we wanted, all by ourselves. But the price we paid for this illusory freedom was a dependence beyond our worst nightmares. Rather than freeing us, using enslaved us. When we came to Narcotics Anonymous, we learned that dependence on God didn't have to mean what we may have thought it meant. Yes, if we wanted to be restored to sanity, we would need to tap a power greater than ourselves. However, we could choose our own concept of this higher power. We could even make up one. Rather, we could even make one up. Dependence on a higher power would not limit us, we discovered. It would free us. The power we find in recovery is the power we lacked on our own. It is the love we were afraid to depend on others for. It is the sense of personal direction we never had, the guidance we couldn't humble ourselves to ask for or trust others to give. It is all these things, and it is our own. Today, we are grateful to have a higher power to depend on. Just for today, I will depend on the love and inner strength I draw from the God of my own understanding. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the wee version of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. How do you feel about that discussion, depending on our higher power? Or let's bring it home to the actual point of the meditation, depending on your higher power. Where are you at with that? And I ask that question because sometimes when you're in the middle of the storm, it's very difficult to trace God. It's very difficult to see God or feel the presence of your higher power when you're in the middle of a storm. If you're anything like me, when I'm going through something, my first thought is like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. I cannot believe this is happening. Here's the end of it to me. And then I immediately, as soon as I have that thought, I get into self-will. I start trying to depend on my survival instincts. Some of them were my character defects, right? I start trying is the minute I have that thought, I immediately catapult myself into self-will. Now, what can I do to make sure I take care of that? How can I handle that? And how can I make sure that my family is okay as I go through this? How can I make sure that I'm still present with them and they're enjoying who I am, even though I'm stressed out? How can I? How can I? How can I? And then the second thought that comes to me is that you can't do anything on your own strength. You have a higher power, a God that loves and cares for you, or at least that's what you claim. Why not turn it over? Why not do a third step and actually turn it over, afresh and anew again today? And can you see sort of where that's more of a positive thought, right? But there's still that little thing in me sometimes that wrestles with, do you really, truly have a relationship with a God of your own understanding that you trust? Because you remember I just said, so you claim that you have a higher power. Why don't you just turn it over if that's real? I mean, that sounds like a accusatory type language going back and forth in my brain. And if you're anything like me, it happens to you too. See, the thing about me is that today I'm willing to share that out loud with other people. I want to make sure that people understand it's not the thinking, right? That is well, the thinking is problematic, right? Let me get that. That's a faulty statement. The thinking is problematic, but the thoughts and the feelings, they come and go. They come and go. I'm sure you have a favorite light switch in your house. Uh, People tend to turn it on even if they don't need it, right? And you go through there and you turn it back off. And sometimes you turn it on, forget to turn it off, right? Feelings and emotions are kind of like that. It's a switch. They go on, they go off. You have this feeling, that feeling. They come and they go. They linger, they pass. And I just honestly don't give them power. I don't give them the weight that I used to. I have the same. I put a time limit on any feeling and emotion because I got work to do. I have things that I am charged to do. And that's a whole nother conversation. But to make it really simple, I have a commitment to my higher power for bringing me a way of thanking my higher power, of showing my gratitude for finally allowing me to understand that I can tap into self forgiveness any day, anytime, every day, all day, every day of the year. I do not have to beat myself up anymore over the past or the present, right? I can tap into forgiveness because I was overwhelmed with the sense of failure every time I made a mistake, every single mistake, not just I burnt the toast, even though that was something that could tailspin me into negativity, right? Self-loathing. I can remember times trying to cook for someone that I was trying to impress, and child, I would burn everything. I was so stressed out trying to make sure that I was like this fast order cook that could time everything and everything could come out onto the dining room table hot, steaming, and ready. And I would never time the eggs. I would never time the meat. I mean, I would burn up everything. And I would just beat myself up over and over and over and over the smallest of things. Today, I have a real relationship with a God of my own understanding, regardless to whether or not I pull everything off successfully, regardless to whether or not I drop the ball here and there, or maybe I just have a day that I am a ball dropping woman, right? It's okay. I always try to make sure that I give myself space, grace, and room to be human, because not doing that has a higher price that I have paid dearly for, that I used over and over and over for. People think because they're upset with you and they give you the silent treatment that they're punishing you. I punish myself far worse than any human being ever could. And so this meditation reminds me, and hopefully it reminds you, I have a God in my life. I have a higher power in my life that I actually can turn everything over to and reduce and relieve and remove the weight and the burden of trying to carry all those stones, those boulders of high expectations that were constantly met with failures on my back, right? We tend to place unrealistic expectations on ourselves and others. So if that means that it's unrealistic, that means the expectation goes unmet, correct? And so what happens to me mentally when the expectation fails is undescribable. I'm not different in the sense that I still don't have that feeling of negativity when something fails. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that at all. These are automatic negative thoughts that I really don't have a lot of control over. However, what I am saying is that now I deal with them differently. I have a tool belt around my waist wherever I go. And in that tool belt is Narcotics Anonymous, the 12 steps, the spiritual principles therein, the 12 traditions, the spiritual principles therein, the 12 concepts of service, the spiritual principles therein, my higher power, my faith, right? And how I choose to carry that out, how I choose to adore and honor my higher power and my relationship with my higher power. There's tons of tools in my tool belt that teach me or allow me at any given situation to pull one of the tools out and make the needed adjustments to the situation, the circumstance, the whatever it is that I'm dealing with. These tools allow me to reshape what's going on in a manner that allows me to walk away feeling just a-okay with myself, no longer beating myself up. Actually, I get to turn the switch off on the butt kicking machine because of these tools. And so where are you? Where are you? Let's be honest about where we are. Because if you can't tell me where you are in regards to your relationship and your dependency on your higher power. Maybe you have a problem with the word dependency. We never, like I said, we really didn't want to depend on anyone. Drugs allowed us to feel free. But actually, they didn't make us free. They enslaved us. So if you cannot tell me, MightyStream, I have a relationship with my higher power and it's good. I'm dependent on that relationship. I use it, in other words, so that I can be successful in my life and handle things properly, like a principled individual would. I didn't say religious, a principled, spiritually principled individual. If you can't tell me where you're at, maybe you don't know. And if you don't know, that's okay. Nobody's beating you up because you don't know, you don't have all the answers about a God of your own understanding or your higher power. There's some people that right now, nature is their higher power. They love to go out and hike, and that's their connection to their higher power. So many people. And it's a very good higher power for them because you can tell by the way they carry themselves that they have peace, that they're loving and caring human beings. Some people have higher powers that are violent. They're character defects that they depend on, and they make those survival instincts they have their God. And it doesn't usually work out too well to have a violent higher power. I wish I would make a gun my God. I wish I would make harmful speech my God. I've done it and I paid the price for it. So the beautiful thing about this is that I was able to revamp my higher power. I learned what I needed out of my higher power so that I could give of myself to society in a manner that served it in a spirit of God will and goodwill. I was listening to, I'm going to close with this in case you're the individual that you don't have a response for whether or not you have a higher power or how that relationship is, or it's not as good as you want it to be. I was listening to a man speak. He had 38 years, 38 years in the program. He's from another country. And you know what he said? He said, I always wondered what the difference was between God's will and goodwill. The only thing that I could figure out was there was an extra O in the word good. So when I personally think about God's will for me, all I do is add another O. And I think of what goodwill is. Goodwill towards myself, God, and others. And that makes the God thing very clear for me. Then he went on to say, it's just like the word devil. How do I know what is not good? When I think about the devil, or I think about the word devil, not to be religious, I just take the letter D off and I get the word evil. And it makes it really clear for me. I could not believe after that man shared how many newcomers raised their hand to share. They were impacted by that simple definition. And so I want to say to you, if you're struggling in that area, keep it simple. Define what goodwill is and define what bad will is. Okay? And move more today on the side of goodwill. Move yourself, inch yourself closer to the other side of goodwill. And wherever that line between the two of them are, every day, move yourself further into the side of goodwill. And I guarantee you, you're going to be just fine. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I am going to be talking to you tomorrow. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.